Hi Busy Bees.
Hi.
Mr. Burkett and I are in the kitchen again for this science experiment. So on Monday, we talked about letter V and we learned about planet Venus. And so we are going to make a Venus volcano, because something we learned about Venus is we know it's really hot because it's close to the sun, but it also has volcanoes all over the planet that just erupt all the time. So we are going to make a Venus volcano with things that most people have at home in their kitchens. And so I have a glass with that's mostly full of water. It's a little over half full of water, and then I have it inside a dish because this, if you guys remember, our baking soda and our vinegar that we're gonna use, you guys like to add the vinegar and it makes all the bubbles and you say it looks like an exploding volcano, so we're actually gonna do that. So you'll wanna have your cup in a dish. And then we're also going to add a little bit of soap this time, which we've used for other things, but we're gonna see how that might change the what the baking soda and the vinegar do. So I've got my water a little over half full in the cup, and then I'm going to do 1 teaspoon of dish soap. So moms and dads can help you find the right size measuring spoons for this stuff. And I'm gonna just use that teaspoon to stir this up a little bit. And then I'm going to add a little bit of color, and then a little bit later we're gonna do some color changing. Maybe I'll add color. Here,
Here,
switch.
I'll do that. There we go.
Just like 2 drops.
2 drops?
Yeah, we'll do 2 drops.
1, 2.
2. All right, and so I'm gonna stir that up so that it's kind of a reddish color.
Maybe 2, maybe a couple more.
Sure,
drops.
yes.
Maybe.
It's not red enough yet for Mr. Burkett.
1, 2.
It is your favorite color.
Red is my favorite color, as you can see.
All right, so we have the water and the dish soap and the food coloring. So now I'm gonna start adding tablespoons of baking soda, which we've used this before for our different explosions and volcanoes. We've done color explosion, we've melted snowmen, and the last thing we did with our baking soda and our vinegar was we made an exploding moon of Jupiter. So I'm gonna add about 4 tablespoons of baking soda. You can add a little bit less. You can also go a little bit more, all the way up to 6 tablespoons, but it depends how much mom and dad have. So while I do that, Mr. Burkett is gonna tell us something new that we haven't learned about the baking soda and the vinegar.
And what Mrs. Burkett was saying a bit ago is you guys already know that when you add these 2 together, you see a lot of bubbles. Well, what happens is there is actually a chemical reaction between these 2 things. And the bubbles that you see are just gas bubbles that are trapped inside the powder. So when you think about baking soda, you can think about it as a powder that has a gas trapped inside of it. Now, when you add the vinegar to that, the vinegar reacts with the powder and sets it free. It releases that gas. And because the gas is getting released underneath the water, well, it has nowhere to go but up and out as a bubble. And the soap and the water and everything like that is going to help us to see the bubble that gets released from the powder. So, we ready to do that?
Yes, so now we're gonna do a little bit less than a cup of vinegar.
Maybe 2/3 of a cup of vinegar.
Okay, and then we'll do our countdown.
Countdown? Okay.
3 backwards from 3.
All right, is everybody ready? 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, I need a bigger dish.
Yay!
No. All right, so it turned out a little more pinkish than we thought, but that's okay. So some of this might go on the counter.
I'll get a spoon. You keep
Okay.
talking, and I'll get a spoon, and I'll move it into another bowl.
We made our Venus volcano that was very explosive, but I put so much baking soda in there this time that we can actually make it erupt again. And so we started, now Mrs. Meyer did a color lesson with us before, and we've reviewed this in the room, that when you mix colors together, you can make new colors. So we started with red, so I wrote red in red, and then we're going to add some drops. I'm going to add some food coloring drops of another color, and I'm going to add some blue food coloring drops, and then we're going to stir up our volcano and make it erupt again, and we're going to see if we can remember what happens when you mix red plus blue. It equals a new color. So while I put our drops of blue in, you think back and see if you can remember what happens when we mix red and blue together. So you did 4 drops of red. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 drops of blue, and now I'm gonna stir it, and we're gonna make it erupt again. Ooh.
We can add some vinegar if we need to.
I think we might need to add a little bit more vinegar this time.
Okay, hold the sign.
Yep, because there's still definitely baking soda in there.
Okay, so we'll put in maybe another, maybe half cup of vinegar. Okay, ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, there we go.
And it kind of...
Well, so something that happens sometimes in our class, Mr. Burkett, is that things don't turn out the way that they're supposed to, or the way that we think they're going to. So you teach big kids science, and you tell them the same thing.
Yeah.
So what we do, and you might do this with your big kids, what we do in class is when it doesn't turn out the way we thought it was, we think about why maybe it didn't. So I didn't have a big enough dish and it was going to foam over onto our counter, which we probably didn't want to have because I think the dogs would maybe lick it all up. So you had to scoop out a lot of that reddish, pinkish foam.
I did.
So I kind of think maybe that's why we only see blue now instead of seeing what we should be seeing.
I think so, and I think too that that's probably what happened, because some little parts of the foam, you can see a new color, but most of it you kind of still see the blue. And I think that Mrs. Burkett is right, that sometimes when we have to change things, it may not turn out the way we thought it was going to. But let's talk about what these two colors, what we remember these two colors do make.
So we started with our red, and then we added some blue. And I think by now you guys probably have already shouted it, that you remember that those two colors together make purple. So we don't see a lot of purple this time, but we've talked about a couple reasons why. Another reason might be that we used food coloring. Something you can use instead of food coloring is paint. And so paint might give more of the colors so that it might work better. So we didn't get our color changing Venus volcano, but we did make it erupt 2 times.
Nice.
And usually we only do it once.
Yeah.
So we still got our Venus volcano.
Yep.
It just didn't change. Well, it kind of changed color. It was red and then it was blue.
And then it was blue.
It just didn't make our mix, but that's okay because we still got to make a volcano. Do you think we could make it go? There's a little bit left in here.
Maybe we could try one more time, and maybe this last time we might even see some of that purple. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1.
Woo!
There it goes. Cool.
Look at that. So it's still blue, but that's okay. It's still, we did change it from red to blue.
Yes. Yes.
Just not to purple. So this is something that as long as moms and dads have this stuff in the kitchen and they say it's okay, this is definitely something you can do safely at home, that you'd need to make sure it's okay with them and have them kind of watch and help you. But this is something we would have done in class together, and I would have let you do it. And you can at the end, remember, you can always use your finger, and they like to touch it a lot. It's kind of like a foamy whipped cream.
Yep.
Just don't put it in your mouth.
Don't put it in your mouth.
The busy bees are good at that, though.
Yeah, you can touch it.
You can touch it. Feels a little cold, I think, from the water. So you can give it a shot at home, and let me know if some of the changes to what we did help actually make the color we thought it was going to make.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, busy bees.
Bye.